now. I was asked if I would reschedule our meeting by a week for that, and I decided not to. Okay, yeah, I was still at 6:29, so we'll give people a little bit longer here.
How many do we need for a quorum, Eric?
Well, that's a good question.
I count 7, 8.
We have 8 of us.
Yeah? Mark just came in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Dave, can you turn that down?
Well, I'll take roll here in a second. We'll have the official count. Okay, well, it's 6:30. I've got my eye on the participant window. If other people start popping in, I'll let them in. But let's call it to order. Welcome and calling to order the January 2023 meeting of the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Council. Happy New Year, everybody. And
Happy New Year.
Welcome. So I'm your chairperson, Eric Edelman, as everybody probably already knows. And let me go ahead with, we'll do introduction and roll call at the same time here. John is out, so I'll take care of it. Okay, Eric Edelman, present. I am a business representative here in the group and also a homeowner in Carmel Mountain for many years. Dan Thompson is absent. Rich Craigie.
I'm here. I'm a homeowner on homeowner seat.
Great. John Schroeder absent. Mark Clark.
Here, homeowner in Carmel Mountain Ranch.
Great. Michelle Mullen is absent. Kurt Carlson.
Evening, everybody. Kurt Carlson, Carmel Mountain Ranch homeowner.
One second. Okay. I have 4 present so far. Is that right?
It was you, Mark, me, and Rich. Yeah, 4.
Got it. Okay. Bruce Bergman.
Yes, Fairway Village, Carmel Mountain resident.
Great. Larry Fontaine.
Hey, good evening. Larry Fontaine, homeowner.
And Kirsten Greer. Not present. So I count 6. Am I wrong?
I see Rick Smith. Oh, he's not a member anymore.
Yeah, he was our subcommittee chair, but not a board member at this point.
Yeah, we got 6.
Perhaps we'll be able to twist his arm in the future. Okay, well,
Did you count yourself?
maybe. I got too many windows and too many well, we're not voting on anything, so whether we have a quorum or not, we're having a meeting, so
okay. Yeah,
we'll just push forward with that. All right, so well, I guess we need a quorum to approve the minutes. Boy, all right, hang on, let me count again. Larry, 1, Bruce, 2, Kurt, 3, Mark, 4, Rich, 5, Eric, 6. Yeah, we've got 6.
What do we need? How many do we need?
Well, I think we have at this point 9 active. So 6 would probably be a quorum of that, but I would have to really review the bylaws to know whether we have an official quorum or not. Let's just go ahead with approval of the agenda and minutes from the October meeting, because why not? So do I have?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes and agenda. Meeting minutes were from October, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, meeting minutes from October and today's agenda.
Okay, second to that from anyone?
I'll second.
Anyone second that?
Yeah, Rich did.
Now all of a sudden I can't hear anything. Hang on. Can somebody say something? I'm not sure if my audio is working.
Rich did.
Oh, okay. All right. I hear you. All right. Did we get a second?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody object to the approval of the minutes or tonight's agenda versus just going back and calling roll again? Any objections or abstentions? Corrections? Corrections, objections, or abstentions? Okay, so we're going to take silence as unanimous approval of tonight's agenda and the minutes from our October meeting, and just keep on trucking here. All right, that brings us to public comment. Do we have public comment? Hands, or just start talking? Jeez, my audio, what is going on with this? Yikes. I'm not hearing anybody all of a sudden. Hang on.
I don't think anybody was talking, so that's.
Oh,
probably why
okay.
And I don't see a raised hand for me. I don't know if you hear me. This is Louise Pickering.
I hear you, Louise. Go ahead. 3 minutes.
I was just curious if anybody looked into the park in regards to where a neighbor of mine by Highland Ranch, Carmel Ridge Road, on that park, where there's a bathroom already from the abandoned bathroom already from the golf course, and using that, remodeling that versus building a new bathroom.
I believe there was some discussion about that bathroom at the October meeting. Does anybody recall what we discussed with the parks folks?
Remember, they talked about the bathroom they were talking about constructing on
Yeah.
one end.
The current bathroom that is over there on the far side of that old fairway is, I believe, outside of the city's property. I think the park ends 3 or 4 houses up Carmel Mountain Road, where Eastbourne curves around right there. So I think that bathroom, I don't know what's going to happen to that. I know it's outside of the city's property, I believe, but I would have to go back to review the discussion that we had in October about that. I know they're talking about putting a new bathroom in the new park, but I don't remember whether anybody knew what was happening with that, call it abandoned bathroom over there on Carmel Ridge Road. So I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you on that. I can make a note to ask New Urban West what their plan is there.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's the park is going to be all the way down at the other end of Carmel Ridge Road, so it won't probably work as a bathroom for that park. And I think it's outside the piece that the city is going to own. So I don't think it's, my guess is it's probably going to be torn out, but I don't know.
And speaking of the park, it's interesting that they want to build the park at the one end by Eastbourne, which is only 10, like, I don't know, 10, 15 houses from the other park. But if you put it at the other end, all those homes at the other side don't have a park close by. But the Eastbourne side will have two parks about 10, 15 homes apart.
Yeah, it's close.
Balance.
It's close to Highland Ranch Park. I think basically that's the piece that New Urban West gave the city. So that's what they're using, I think, is the short answer to that. I don't think it was a matter of, I don't know why they wouldn't be giving them the other end of it there, but I just know that that's the land the city had to work with, and that's what they've planned and approved.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your questions and or comments, Louise?
At the moment.
Okay.
Somebody
Okay.
else can.
Thank you. Mark, I see your hand up.
Yes, I would like to share some news about the process of New Urban West since we're not here. So the process of the approval of the project, the trails in Carmel Mountain Range is still under review. So we don't have no building permit yet. There's no building permit been yet issued. It's transportation department under review right now, and the landscaping. Two items which one has been going back and forward to the resubmission with the New Urban West. So I just checked it, a few minutes ago before the meeting starts, and so it's still under review. It's one thing. And the second, I would like to know about the Windcrest land you mentioned in your email. It says going to be transportation department going tell us about the study on Windcrest Lane, or you have anything to share about what is happening?
I have some notes from Emily Piatanesi from Mayor Gloria's office. She's not here in person tonight because she's at the State of the City, but she did send me the latest information regarding Windcrest Lane, and I will share that during her segment of the meeting.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public non-agenda comment? Okay, there being none, I will move forward to the neighborhood police report from Officer Julie Dratt.
Hi, good evening. Happy New Year, everyone. Hopefully everyone's off to a good start and hopefully everyone's healthy. My goodness. So, a few things. I know there's been mention of the tunnels. I don't know, Eric, if it's been brought to your attention recently about the tunnels. With that being said, again, I've only had one request come in regarding that just recently. With that being said, I believe that area is owned by New Urban West, correct? Okay.
Yes.
If possible, Eric, if you can email me a good point of contact so I can reach out to them, so that way we can look into some ways to resolve some of the concerns. That would be great. Again, around school zones and things, please slow down. We already know the speed limit, is lower. You got to go slow. Keep an eye out. Kids run between cars because, well, that's what kids do sometimes when they're not holding their parents' hands. It happens. So please, and I just put that out there because that's not just one thing. You have people that cross in crosswalks. Slow down, look both directions, get the, and this goes for both drivers and also pedestrians. Doesn't matter if you're crossing you know, in the middle of the street, at a crosswalk, you should always get the attention of the drivers before you leave a place of safety. And as far as the drivers, they should be, you know, looking and making eye contact with the pedestrians as well. So just a few things to keep in mind. Slow down, watch out for each other, please. And again, watch out for bicyclists as well in the areas to and from, you know, kids are going to school. So just slow down, take your time, please. With that being said, I'm just going to open up for any questions.
Great. Anybody with questions for Officer Dratt, please go ahead. Okay, so are you at liberty to share what the concerns with the tunnels have been? People getting in there?
Yeah, so would that be, yeah, the tunnels, I've heard that, you know, it's a concern because it looks like, you know, people are able to kind of get through there and they just want it to be safe. You know, again, kids used to go through there during, you know, to cut through for school and such. So it's just one of those things that I definitely want to bring to New Urban West attention, just to make sure that if there are areas and if the fence is cut, you know, they should, one, if, you know, the citizens bring it to your attention, to be able to bring it to New Urban West attention, and or if they reach out to us for us to be able to get in contact with them so that things can get fixed right away.
Okay. Yeah, the maintenance contact that we had was Carly Keats, and she's no longer in that position.
Okay.
So I will have, and Jonathan was supposed to get me a new one, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus. He may have emailed me over the holidays, and I just need to go back and look again. But either way, I'll get you something in the next day or so.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mark, go ahead.
Yes, this is not a question for the Officer Drug, but it's regarding the tunnels. It's just under the city street. We used to have the something, you know, the golf course used to own it, but it goes under the city street. So could be maybe it's a property of the city now, because golf course is gone already, and we don't have no easement on it. So this is what we need to find out. If
It's
the
New Urban West
own
property.
it.
It's New
Yes,
Urban
but
West
it's,
property.
but we remove it easement already. So if the city remove the easement, so the city owns now, because it's under the city.
It's New Urban West property.
You see? Oh, okay.
It's
Yes.
going to be part of the new whole trail system. So it's their property. I'll get her the contact and they'll work it out. And, you know, I'll double check with the city, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Kurt?
Yeah, Officer Drack, I was curious as to the schedule on when they will open those tunnels. And, you know, we heard during 2021, that New Urban West was going to light those tunnels, the ones that they're going to keep. Obviously, they're not keeping the one by the clubhouse, but they're keeping the one over Rancho Carmel Drive, and it goes under Ted Williams, and I think that's, oh, and then there's one that goes under Highland Ranch Road. So there's 3 of them, I believe. Are those going to be lit? And then if so, are they going to be lit even while they're closed off? Because, you know, you need security.
I'll let her answer, Kurt, but this is probably outside of her ability.
I
to
was just
answer.
going to say, if New Urban West owns it, that would be their responsibility. So I actually don't have that answer. Now, if I, you know, once we get in touch with them, those are things that I can ask them. But again, as of right now, I don't have that answer, because that, again, is, if that's their property and they're the ones that run it, I wouldn't know the schedule of it.
Sure. I just think that coming from the police, since they've ignored us so successfully, I think it would mean more coming from the police than it would, you know, from us.
No, I will ask them, definitely. I will inquire.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions for Officer Dratt? Sounds like no. So once again, thank you and Happy New Year. We always appreciate your coming and sharing the latest law enforcement news.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. CMR Fire, not here. State Senator Brian Jones. Yes, Mark Schaefer.
Yes, I am here. Good evening. So State Senator Mark Schaefer with State Senator Brian Jones' office. We are now the 40th district after redistricting, and our boundaries have changed a bit since then. I kind of use the 3 points to describe the new district is Pine Valley in the east to University City in the west up to Fallbrook in the north. And we have about 1 million residents in the senator's district. So December 5th, the senator was sworn in for the new session. And then at the same time, the governor announced the first extraordinary session of the legislature on oil and gas companies and prices. And the governor also announced the end of the pandemic state of emergency. So governance should come back to a normal structure with the legislature and the governor's relationship. And that's going to end the end of February. In the new session, the senator has already introduced 2 bills. One bill is into the regular session, and the second bill is both in the extraordinary session and the regular session for the Senate. The first bill is SB 31, which is a homelessness related bill, and it is going to allow the prohibiting of encampments near sensitive community areas, schools, parks, libraries, daycare centers, helping create safer environments for our families. This new state law would have a requirement of 72-hour warning before any encampment sweep and give homeless individuals a chance to find alternative places and services before encampment is cleared, and also requires the local law enforcement to provide information about sleeping alternatives, homeless and mental health services, shelters, etc. Those items. On the other bill, SB 32, and then it's SB X1_1, which extraordinary session 1, bill 1. He has introduced again the gas tax holiday, which would reduce price of gas about $1 per gallon for 1 year, just for 1 year. It's not a permanent elimination, just a 1-year holiday. He had introduced this in the last session and was not able, the majority was not able to allow a vote for that. In that role, also the senator in the new session was elected the new minority leader for his caucus, and that was pretty smooth, no issues on that vote. And luckily with San Diego region, both the minority leader and majority leader are both from San Diego County. So his colleague, Senator Atkins from San Diego, is also once again leader. So we have a good San Diego representation. Also, quick update on Real ID. The deadline for that for air travel was coming up this year. They have now extended it to May 7th, 2025. So we'll offer that if anybody has an issue with the DMV and getting an appointment, email me, call me here in the senator's office, and we can help you out with that. I used it myself late last year. And then unclaimed property, we still have that program. So if you might be owed some vacation, you quit a job or left a job 10 years ago and they didn't pay you on your vacation and they can't find you. You often will have unclaimed property available. Our casework staff is here to help you out with all of that. And one of the things we're going to be looking at doing more again this year are a couple seminars for constituents and looking for locations and groups to partner with. One of them is the CHP Live Well, Drive Smart, which is about an hour-long seminar. And if you're a senior citizen taking it, many insurance companies will offer discounts to their car insurance for that. And we're also looking at a Senior Scam Stoppers, which is largely based on Contractor State License Board, which can help educate you on finding legitimate contractors when doing remodeling or any kind of work on your home. We'll also have Department of Insurance there to also provide information, consumer affairs, different agencies we invite. That's about an hour and a half. Also let you know, our district office is moving sometime in the next year. We're trying to find a location, basically between Scripps Ranch and like Sabre Springs, Carmel Mountain Ranch, in that area, looking for office space. We may have found somewhere, but we're going to be moving our office there closer to the center of our district. The new district is basically mostly the 15 corridor communities, and then going out along 52 out to University City. So that's about it for an update. Are there any questions?
Jump in with questions if you got them.
Is that Paul?
Well, it's a good office space in Sabre Springs off of Ted Williams.
Do you have an address?
Yeah, it's the only, well, I don't have an address, but it's the only building, the 5-story building there.
It's 13520 North Evening Creek Drive.
We have Paul Jameson has his hand up.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and let Paul ask his question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question about the two bills. On the first one, the prohibiting of encampments near schools and libraries. You know, I think the root cause of the homelessness problem is the high cost of housing here. I know there's a variety of reasons why people end up homeless, but it's a great article on Voice of San Diego that homelessness really is a housing issue. So I would just encourage the state senator to, you know, continue to work towards addressing and solving the housing crisis, and that might be a more productive use of time as opposed to prohibiting these encampments. Then on the other side, the gas tax holiday, it seems like that would encourage more driving. I'm not sure how that lines up with some of the climate plan, the state climate goals. I know that the conservatives are kind of on the other side of that issue, but that gas tax also funds alternatives to driving. So it's kind of a double whammy by doing that gas tax holiday. Just giving you a take from the other side of the aisle, and thanks for listening.
No, understood. And the first one, I will be the senator's first one to say is his bill is not the be all end all for homelessness. It is a component of the entire issue going on with homelessness in also being able to preserve places where families can enjoy our parks and other stuff. The other thing on the gas tax issue, I mean, last year they had the rebate that everyone should be getting or have gotten their debit card yet. But a lot of people were excluded from that, including those, a lot of senior citizens and people with disabilities were just excluded from that rebate. So understood, there's different ways to address these issues, but just kind of some of the issues that the senator looks at those too. So appreciate the feedback though.
Yeah, it's not just a housing issue though, just
it's everything. It's housing. It's all of that is included. I will say the senator would agree with you. It is a housing issue. Just even looking throughout our district, there are people, you know, here in Carmel Mountain Ranch, you've probably seen the price of housing go exponentially higher, but even now going into the backcountry, it's becoming more and more expensive. A lot of people that used to live like in Carmel Mountain Ranch are now in like Hoppatul
yeah.
That's not helping out, having someone having to commute an hour to get into the city just to be able to afford a home. So
I agree.
He's aware of that.
The city of San Diego is, you know, largely having to bypass these community planning groups that we're at right now because much of the opposition to new housing comes from these planning groups, unfortunately. So just a heads up on that. And yeah, we'll just have to disagree as to whether the core problem of homelessness is a housing issue or not. I think there's a lot of data showing that it is primarily a housing issue. And I encourage you to read the Voice of San Diego article, Kurt. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you very much, Paul.
Any other questions for Mark?
And thank you for the lead on the real estate.
Thanks for coming, Mark. We appreciate it. And we will see you next month, hopefully. We're glad to have you. Okay, so Assemblyman Mainshine's office. I don't see Rick Hauptfield here tonight. Okay. Michael Friedenberg from Joel Anderson's office.
I will add on that just to help you. used to work for the supervisor. Friedenberg is no longer there.
Oh,
I will let Mariko Nakawata in their office know that they need to
yeah,
change
please
that.
have them reach out so I can add them to my distribution list.
Will do.
Okay, then that brings us to City Council District 5, Kyrie Carter for Marnie Von Wilpert. Welcome, Kyrie.
Thank you, Eric. Good evening, everyone. Good to be back. Happy first meeting of the year. The council member and the mayor staff as well are all at the state of the city. But I will give a brief report because I know Everett Hauser is here to present from Transportation Department. But we do have a community event this Saturday that we are inviting you all and neighbors and friends to. Council member and staff will be there. Saturday at Mostra Coffee at the shopping center at Coal Mountain Road, and Rancho Carmel, 9 to 11 a.m. You can come and have a coffee with us and discuss any community issues you'd like, or any ways we can help better run the city for you and our communities. So please come by and say hello. And then also, I was going to give an update on the results of the traffic study for the Windcrest, and I believe it's Bolton. But I guess, Eric, you have that information.
If you've got it, did you get it from Emily?
I did, but if you have,
I have the same email, so if you want to go ahead with that, that's fine. Probably more appropriate from you than from me.
Sure. And then also just a disclaimer, they will be here at the next meeting again. They have the state of the city tonight, so they unfortunately can't be here. But they just wanted to report that Windcrest and Bolton do not qualify for speed humps due to their slope of those streets. They do qualify for the VCOM signs. However, the VCOM signs are on the unfunded needs list, which I would have to check with Transportation Department staff on the timeline for those projects.
That is the same update that I got. So the VCOM signs are the ones that detect the speed and display it. Is that right?
To be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure which exactly are the VCOM signs, but I
think they're the ones that give the speed feedback.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Oh, there we have a traffic person who knows, and we'll get to him next. All right, Mark has Kyrie. Did you have anything else from the councilwoman's office before I open it up for comments and questions?
I do not. Go ahead and open it up.
All right, Mark, I know you have questions about Windcrest. So,
well, when we did a study from Bolton all the way to the Shoal Creek is when it's going to be downhill on Windcrest Lane is no sign of the speed limit there. We don't have like I believe from Chippenham, even from Chippenham all the way to the Shoal Creek is no sign, not a speed limit sign there. So it's anything could be putting like a sign to encourage people to slow down, because I see people driving like 60 miles and I'm running out of my driveway and in the middle of the road and I'm standing, slow down, and they almost run me out a couple times. So we need to do some bumps. We have to have a bump, have to be qualified. That street have to be qualified. And I'm here, I'm living on that street for 30 years. And I never saw anybody came and did any studies. So I don't know how we come up with the qualification for my street. So we need to do something about. Number one, that sign, the one display the speed maybe is good. And it's another signs have to be a speed limit. Have to be from Chippenham downhill, maybe in 2 locations. I don't know how far apart we can put them, but have to be some signs of the speed limit, because people just driving crazy here. They just look, like a highway. It's not like a residential street. So it's got to be done something to Windcrest Lane. And it's going to become worse after the development going to be here. Going to be more people living, more people going to be rushing to work, more people going to be rushing to get the kids to the Shoal Creek Elementary School. And this is going to be getting worse. So better be qualified right now, this street. So we need to get a little bit more digging on that. So I'm not accepting the answer from the transportation department. Sorry, Mr. Carter. So we need to do something more about. Thank you.
I will concur. It is a problem. I live on Royal Melbourne, so where you're seeing the school bus on Mark's profile picture, just right beyond that, and that Windcrest Lane is a huge problem. And we put the units in behind and the park across the street with the school children walking up and down. We're just setting up a recipe for disaster here. And I know the parks people have agreed that we're going to put in the blinking crossing signs. So that's good, but we got to figure out a way to control the downhill speed on Windcrest. I've seen car accidents. I've seen pets run over. It's just not a good situation. But
Yeah,
with
we're
that,
just sliding downhill. The car is just sliding downhill at speed of 60 miles per hour.
people
So
pay
I don't know how we
absolutely
did this
yes.
study.
People pay no attention to the speed limit around here. It's bad. Okay, so Bruce, you have your hand up.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that report. I did a little Googling after I heard it and found out the reason why you can't put speed bumps on an incline of a certain height
Yeah.
because cars go flying through the air and they kill people and kill other cars and so on. So I guess unfortunate, but it makes sense that they can't afford to risk putting speed bumps on a hill.
Yeah, the speed bumps are unfortunately due to the grade. You're right. And just, I guess we got to figure out how to get the VCalm signs funded. That's the bottom line. So
Well, on the Sea Bridge is downhill also, and they have the
well,
speed bumps.
it's not. I mean, you notice on Seabridge the speed bumps end as you start getting steep there. They have speed bumps on the relatively level part, but as you get to the grade, they go away, and there is legitimate reason for that. I think rather than arguing about speed bumps, I think the best course of action for the community is to lobby for the VCalm signs to get installed, and potentially more enforcement from the SDPD if we can get it. But I don't think there's any way we're getting speed bumps on Windcrest there just because of the pitch or the slope. Kurt?
The one thing that I just noticed the last couple of times I've come down Windcrest Lane towards Shoal Creek Drive, that fencing that the golf course puts up that blocks out people.
Yeah.
That fencing blocks cars coming up the road from Rancho Carmel Drive that are coming at pretty good speeds. And I mean, last week I had to hit my brakes because a young teenager was coming up the hill really fast. This is going to be, I mean, I don't know how long those fences are going to be up, but they don't really need to be where they are right now. It'd be nice to cut those fences back. Anyway.
Yeah, that's another one from New Urban West that I've been, I've asked a number of times and not gotten anywhere. I agree. I live right there, so I see the Shoal Creek Drive corridor where it tees into Windcrest and Royal Melbourne it's just an accident waiting to happen.
Maybe Kyrie would say something, back to our council person to make sure that follow up on that.
Kyrie hears from me on it, and he's heard from us on it, and I know he's talking to Marnie about it. So hopefully that'll.
If somebody an accident, and we are talking about it all this time.
I know.
Who does anything about it?
Well, it's we're doing what we can.
At least we get it on recording, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see on my profile picture how the curvy, that section on Shoal Creek, and you see the car, the line, the stop signal, there in Windcrest, how, have to go forward all the way already like halfway of the car to see the street, and plus those fences on the way. And this is, it's just calling for something happened.
It's a
Badly.
problem. We'll continue to lobby for assistance. So let's, why don't we move on from Windcrest and on to any other questions for Kyrie before I move forward? We've got a presentation from the Transportation Department about the Sabre Springs Bikeway.
Hey, I just want to have a quick suggestion, and I don't even know if people would be willing to do it. There used to be a little street that they ended up blocking off very early in this development. I don't remember the name of the street. And now it's just like a cul-de-sac street. It's the one that is near Highland Ranch. That
You're
used to
talking
be an
about
all the way-
Eastbourne.
Yeah, it used to be an all the way through street, and it was
Yep.
blocked because so many people would speed through. And
Yep.
I don't know, it's probably not a possibility, but one thing certain that would stop people from speeding down that street is to block it at some place so it's not a shortcut through the neighborhood. So folks that are coming in or leaving the neighborhood would no longer take that as a shortcut going to Ralph's or whatever. You know, a lot of people might be against that, but it would certainly stop speeding.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, many years ago, been rumors here on Windcrest on Bella Flor. It's supposed to be a gated community, so it's supposed to be a gate down on Windcrest by the Shoal Creek and on the Bolton by the Calmer Reach. Where is the Calmer Reach is? Supposed to be a gate there, and supposed to be a gate on the beginning, whereas the top of the hill of the Windcrest Lane, where the sea bridge, the stop. So supposed to be 3 gates, but they never went through, so we may be considering to get some signature down here and maybe establish like sub-association and go forward and close the Windcrest Lane. So this is what we've been talking here. Maybe this is not the thing to do it, and we know it's going to costly for us to raise some funds for the gate and keep it, the maintenance and also the sub association going. So maybe this is another option for us to cut it. I know New Urban West will be very unhappy about that, but we might do that.
Okay,
it's another option.
Great. That would be something to see. I know that, Royal Melbourne is gated and it follows the same trajectory as Windcrest, and we don't have that problem. So gate would definitely solve it for you. I don't know how, that's definitely outside of our purview here, but if you guys can figure out a way to make that happen, then I'm sure we would be in your debt. So let's move on. It's 7:10, and I know we've got a presentation, so I don't want to keep flogging the Windcrest Lane thing. We all know it's a problem, and Kyrie is doing his best. We know we don't have the mayor's rep here tonight, and we've already heard what she was going to say from Kyrie. So let's go ahead and we're going to skip right over Tony Kempton because he's not here. Scott Peters' rep isn't here. And then we're going to get to Everett Hauser, who is the program manager for the Transportation Department. And he is going to give us some information regarding the Sabre Springs Bikeway improvement plans. And Everett, you need a screen share.
Yes, I will. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Let me get you figured out here with that. Where did it go? Everett, there you are. Okay. I'm going to make you a co-host. There you go. How long a presentation do you have for us tonight?
That's about 10 slides. I go through things pretty quickly.
Great. Go ahead. Go for it.
All right. Start. There we go. Yeah, once again, good evening, everyone. My name is Everett Hauser. I'm program manager with the city's transportation department, and we'll talk about street improvements and the slurry bundling. So as identified by city council and their budget priorities, Bundling street safety improvements is one of the top priorities, as well as keeping our streets smooth and in states of good repair. So that's a great way to always do both. Transportation and safety mobility are also unanimous priorities amongst all council members, as well as, these are all improvements towards our Vision Zero goal. So just a little bit of a background there about how street safety is a priority amongst all council districts, including District 5. So what do we have upcoming? 2 slurry projects. They have fiscal year batch numbers of 22-21 and 222-23. And if you're curious to track along with them, you can follow along at streets.sandiego.gov to see dates of construction, what's been slurried in the past, and what is upcoming. This is showing the planned roadways and which particular projects they're with. So what we do in the multimodal program is look for ways to improve it, improve bikeways. That's the biggest difference people see when our program works with new projects. And we can see here, this is a view of Strava heat maps showing the already high usage of these roadways by people on bike. And so what we're proposing is, this is the northern section from Poway Road to Evening Creek Drive, where there's already existing bikeways. Is we're going to put up some posts to help separate those users there. And no real changes there, but that's the big change that people would see. Some additions of some posts and channelizers in the buffer area. And then from Creek Bridge Place to Springbrook Drive, we keep the 2 travel lanes and then propose to connect that down along that roadway, connects over to a school with a similar treatment of buffer and channelizer posts. So we know that that's a big change for the area, but we've gone through and looked at some of the data information from this site. So here's a series of snapshots from what's available on Google Street View, showing the past 15 years and not high usage. And we had some additional later reports, because obviously Street View is just kind of during the middle of the day. So here's an AM report, just about 5 vehicles, about 95% unparked. Another time in the evening, just two vehicles. And some further ones, just very recently, just 1 vehicle. So if I found that, the proposal should fit within the demands of the street parking down there that we can see. 1 more just in the evening. And I guess that was the end of my slides, but I'm happy to go back at any point to discuss any of the cross sections or findings.
Okay, before we do questions for you, I had emails from 2 different residents today who wanted me to, they were unable to attend tonight and wanted me to read their comments into the record for them. So I will do that at this time. This is from Josh Clark, who is, I believe, a Sabre Springs resident, and he says that he talks about Walt Joller, who's somebody who was killed on by a motor vehicle driver, overtaken while he was riding the bike lane on Sabre Springs Parkway in 2009. And he links to an article in the Voice of San Diego, and then anyway, there's some more information about that gentleman. But the main comment here is, I believe, this is Josh Clark's comment, I believe that a separated and protected bikeway, AKA cycle track, like the one being proposed and presented for Sabre Springs Parkway, would have saved Walt's life. While the account of the motorist who killed Walt supports this assertion, so do statistics from recent studies. And then he goes on to cite a couple of studies that show that bike riders are far less likely to be injured or killed or involved in an accident in separated bike lanes, and then 45% less when separated and 97% less when protected. So those are his comments in a nutshell. And then Rachel Graham, who is also a resident, she says she'd like to submit a comment in favor of improving the bicycle infrastructure on Sabre Springs Parkway. Neighborhood desperately needs bike lanes to achieve our Vision Zero goal and climate action plan. She goes on to cite studies that show this increases bike ridership and that will make the community more bikeable. So those are their comments in a nutshell. I apologize for not being able to read them verbatim. The screen is this. I have a second screen here that's a little fuzzy, and my eyes are not as sharp as they once were. So those are their comments. Mark, I see you have your hand up, so why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, yeah, it's very good idea to have the bike lane there. Yeah, I know about that person being killed. Yeah, it's terrible what's happened there. So the Everett, I understand it's going to be elimination of one lane, correct, in each direction.
In which location?
Well, it's going to be, it's 2 lanes in both directions. You know, the south and north, it's 2 lanes going south, 2 lanes goes north. So the bike lane you're going to be widening the bike lane because it's already a bike lane there. So you're going to eliminate one lane, correctly? This is what I understand?
No travel lanes are being removed. There's existing buffered bike lanes and those will largely remain the same. Just the addition of the post will be the big difference you'll see.
Oh, only those posts, you know, the white posts, you know. I know, I'm familiar because I saw them in Linda Vista Road near USD. There it's the same post. I know what you're talking about. And they really kind of there, if it's going to be like a little area, so people can avoid them, because when they drive, they can hit them really easy if they're going to be close to the traffic lane. Because I drove it in Linda Vista Road, and I guess I hit a couple of them because I was not familiar with them. So it's going to be a little separation, or we're going to be just next to the lane where the car going driving?
Now the travel lanes will be 11 feet generally. All are designed to provide adequate clearance from travel lanes. So try to not hit.
All right. Well, yeah. Because my question is because this, I believe the Sabre Spring Drive, it's alternative evacuation road, I believe. So if elimination going to be of the lane, so it's not really good. You see what I mean? So anyway, so it's a good idea. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Mark. Paul Jameson you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to express my support for the Bikeway project and thank Everett for appearing tonight and presenting. I ride from that transit station on my bike sometimes to my brother's family's house in Poway. It is not a pleasant ride and it's dangerous and unsafe. So this will make a big difference in my life. And I'm not sure that really matters to folks here, but it really makes a difference to me. I attend a lot of meetings to advocate for bike lanes, and they often require removing street parking or a travel lane. It doesn't sound like that's a big impact here. But in terms of the travel lane, you know, we were talking about unsafe streets earlier, and recently I drove from Ted Williams Drive to the Poway High School for my nephew's graduation, and the behavior of motorists was just completely insane. I don't understand why people have to drive that fast and tailgate and cut off people and do these crazy maneuvers. So I don't know if I have a solution to address the motorist behavior, but reducing the number of lanes, reducing the width of these feeder and arterial roads might help, because by constructing these huge wide roads, it really encourages people just to drive at super fast speeds, and they just don't always think about pedestrians or bicyclists. I know when I was younger and I didn't bike much, I didn't really think beyond my own car either. So I guess I can kind of relate. So I'll just finish up by saying E-bikes are making a huge difference now. Another complaint I hear against bike lanes is that no one rides because of the hills here, but e-bikes really make it possible for older people like myself to get around much further than I could before. So really support this project, and thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you, Paul. Bruce?
Yeah, I support this concept, but I do have just a question, I guess, more of curiosity that I've been chasing down in the past. Many of the bike lanes in our area are horribly potholed, and of course the rain is not helping. I'm sure that the roadways in general have tons of potholes, but if you go from the Carmel Mountain Road from PQ to Carmel Mountain, it's actually safer to ride in the street than in the bike lane.
That's
because
true.
you will literally get kicked off your bike because of potholes. So what do you guys do about taking care of the bike lanes?
So in general, anytime a road is treated for a full resurfacing, like an overlay, or if it is eligible for slurry, which is a preventive maintenance, the road bed is treated equally. All curb to curb is improved. But I do know the particular circumstances up there, and overall the road is in need of repair. So that's something the department is constantly working on to prioritize budget and distribute our dollars and repair miles.
Kurt?
Yeah, hi Everett. I like your plan, a little brief, but I'm sort of torn. I mean, I have an e-bike. I ride quite a bit. I like to ride up in the beach coastal areas around Leucadia, Encinitas, and they have a bike lane, but they also have a shared lane, which is a lane, for cars that are also riding in with bikes. And it seems to work pretty well. The main thing I thought is that, in our community, we're adding a ton of housing. And then you're taking away, you're making the areas the lanes narrower. So, I mean, is there going to be some speed reduction on some of those lanes? Because I think you have to consider that. I think you have to consider that the amount of traffic and volume is going to be a lot more. So you're going to need to slow the cars down. I mean, you're going to have a lot more bike riding. You want to encourage that. I mean, like just as Mr. Jameson was saying, people do drive crazy in Poway. They drive crazy everywhere, actually, Paul, but they do drive crazy. It seems like when you're around a bike lane, you seem to notice it better. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so in general, that is what we try to do when we have the opportunity with the resurfacing, is to right size the lanes, get them down to a narrower lane width, so that way it does force the drivers to pay attention. You're closer to the vehicles, and hopefully that has a speed reduction effect. So that's generally the goal.
You're not reducing the speed though. You're just saying that.
Well, that
is to make them reduce. I'm saying you got to post a sign with like 10 miles slower.
But people aren't really paying any
but there's
attention
a
to speed
procedure
limits.
for speed limit setting, and it is in part based on the speed that drivers drive.
I just don't think. I mean, I've ridden on some of these lanes that have these extra buffers with the posts. They do seem to work. I think there's one in Leucadia area. I think there is actually, but the lane's actually a little bit wider than 11 feet. I do believe it's wider. 11 feet's not that much. And when you got a car going by you at 45 to 60 miles an hour, that is nothing to laugh at. I mean, it's. I think you need to do more. You're not doing enough.
But Kurt, I mean, I do a fair amount of bike riding, and changing the sign to a slower speed, like we've said before, even in this meeting, people are just pay absolutely no attention to speed limits. Not only here, but everywhere. So I mean, it's a pretty scary thing for me. I mean, I see a lot of these lanes that
be right back. Talk amongst yourselves.
Lane. it's kind of scary to me. I don't do it. Share, ride out into the street because people are just paying so much attention to, all the electronics and stuff inside their car that they just lose track of it, and it's just kind of dangerous. So that's my thought.
Sorry, folks, I had to answer the door here. Was there any other comment for Everett? Questions?
Is this plan approved?
What's that?
Is this plan?
Oh,
being-
yeah. Is this an approved item, Everett, or are we still waiting on that?
No, yes, the plans have been issued, so this is an information item for the community.
Right. Okay. I hate to say this, but I think the only solution really for the speeding issue here and anywhere else in the city is going to be, unfortunately, like a Big Brother type of thing where, we've got radar enforcement with photos of license plates and people get tickets in the mail. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to stop some of these speed demons. And it's, teenage Eric would punch adult Eric for saying it, but I think that's what has to happen. Okay, so any other comments or questions regarding this bike lane project? Okay, there being none, I will thank Everett Hauser from the project manager or program manager for City of San Diego Transportation Department for sharing that information item with us tonight. And any updates, we encourage you to come back and talk to us anytime.
Yes, excellent. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I've got nothing else. Does anybody else have anything else?
I guess the only thing that probably as a group we need to just job at is the upcoming 2023 and put the word out that we're going to need some people.
Yeah, that's something that I was going to address tonight, but we're missing a couple folks, and I'd like to have more people here. And I mean, there's the whole planning group reform thing was enacted because they said we were exclusionary and not allowing people onto the planning groups, and we can't find enough people to have a full board. And at the end of this year, we are going to be asked to submit new bylaws and basically reform under these new city council policies. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do it unless we get more people. So I think it would behoove all of us to hassle our friends and neighbors to join the board. I'm gonna put out a message on Nextdoor, as much as I hate going on there.
I sort of admit that what is, when you say exclusionary, are you talking about our group specifically, or
No, just community planning groups. I mean, believe it or not, there are communities in San Diego where they got more people that want to be on boards than they have seats. So in some cases, renters and other folks, and I don't think that's funny. I don't want to laugh about that, but in our community, it's the opposite. And so the changes that were, enacted or currently being enacted, they've put a blanket solution on everybody without necessarily taking into account communities like ours that have trouble getting people and so on. So it's something we're going to have to talk about. I don't think we're going to solve it tonight, but I'm going to solicit people to run for seats in March. And again, like I said, I have to decide if I'm coming back, and it's like I say that every 2 years, and here I still am. So let's maybe email offline about how we can solve this. I don't, like I said, I don't think we're going to solve it tonight, but we need people. That's the bottom line.
We need more representation from Sabre Springs. We got a lot of Carmel Mountain Ranch folks, but
Well, and that's, yeah, that's the thing, you know, when we're forced to reform, write new bylaws, I mean, do we reform as the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Planning Group, or do we, you know, just, I mean, I don't want to lock Sabre Springs out, but we haven't, I mean, aside from Rick, who was the subcommittee chair for us, we've had no representation from Sabre Springs for a long time. Bruce, you have your hand up.
I
Yeah,
remember.
I mean, I'm just going to say that I don't think we would have a problem getting people who were interested if they felt like our work and findings were appreciated and respected. And that's the bottom line. It's just the city does not care. And so we have a hard time getting people who are willing to do that.
That is the perception, that the changes that are being enacted are not necessarily an effort to solve an exclusion problem, but an effort to silence communities so the city can do whatever it wants with development. And you know, that's the more cynical view, but I think probably the more accurate one as well. So I don't know, if we don't have anything else, I'm inclined to adjourn for the evening and take up this conversation offline, see if we can find some people and get some new people in vacant seats so that we can look towards the reformation of the group under the new guidelines whenever we're presented with them. I'm told that it's going to, when it ultimately comes down, it's something we're going to have to do by December 31st. So we got a few months, but as we know, they go quick. So I guess first order of business is let's get some people and let's see what we can do between now and the next meeting, because again, according to the bylaws, we're supposed to have a slate of candidates announced. I got to look. I believe it's by the end of February or right after the February meeting, something like that. And we're supposed to hold elections in March. So it's coming fast. Let's all endeavor to get some other folks in here. Like I said, I'll get on Nextdoor and drum up some new interest, hopefully. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, folks. Meeting adjourned until February 8th. Next meeting, February 8th at 6:30, and we will see you then.
good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.